Hello, Lennox and Parker family. This is Christal, of course, with another edition of Conversations with Christal. And I'm excited about today's conversation because we get a chance to meet some of the newest members of a reality show that we know and love here at Lennox and Parker. Married to Medicine has been around for a few seasons. You know, we've definitely seen the ups and downs. We know we have our faves in Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly, but we get a chance to meet some of the newest cast members before we're actually introduced to them, which is something I always enjoy because we get a chance to kind of get a little bit of the tea before it gets started. So please help me welcome today's guests, Dr. Mimi and Steve Sanders. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am well, and welcome to Culture Conversations with Christal. It's great to have you both.
Likewise. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm excited to talk to you guys because we've been reading the blogs and we've seen that there's new blood at Married to Medicine's doorstep, which is exciting because I know last season they introduced Phaedra Parks, which was a huge surprise. But I love the fact when I read a little bit about your bio, specifically, Dr. Mimi, the fact that you are a doctor of psychiatry. I was like, oh, this is great. This is going to be good because I think if there's anything that reality TV needs, it's a doctor of psychiatry on set. So what was it that possessed you? Because for you to be from a discipline that I think, like I said, is very needed, specifically in reality TV, what made you decide, you and your husband here decide to join the cast?
Yes, so I agree. Psychiatrists are well needed in all industries and avenues. But we decided to do it because we have a passion just overall for mental health. Mm-hmm. And so one of our passions, of course, is just destigmatizing that mental health or getting treatment. Mm-hmm. And so that is kind of why we decided to do it and move forward. I am an advocate for women's mental health. And so knowing that this is an avenue to kind of get that message across, to get that message across about the different subspecialties of psychiatry, such as women, mental health, or reproductive psychiatry. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of just fell in place. And what's...
Now, wait a minute, you threw a big word out there, reproductive psychiatry. Can you explain to us, what does that mean?
So reproductive psychiatry, so we follow the woman throughout her reproductive cycle. So if you are planning to get pregnant, what does that look like from a mental health standpoint? Mm-hmm. If you have had, unfortunately, miscarriages or any type of aborted type of procedures, what does that look like in terms of affecting your mental health? Oh, wow. Following the woman along perinatal, so you're actually pregnant, and how can we make sure that that mom is safe and mom is healthy, mm-hmm. to prevent any preterm labor, low birth weights? What can we do from a mental health standpoint? And then as we go along our reproductive system, our reproductive cycle or journey as women, what does it look like when we are actually going through menopause? Oh. And how does that work for our mental health and having hot flashes and dealing with different transitions within our body? So that is what reproductive psychiatry kind of focuses on, the woman throughout her reproductive cycle and making sure that she is healthy all around.
Oh, wow. I just learned we've been talking to you for less than 5 minutes and I have already learned something. That is a good sign. Steven, you come from a very different world. You come from the world of professional sports. So I would love to hear, first of all, how did you end up snagging a psychiatrist coming off the gridiron?
Well, number one, it tells you how much help I needed mentally. I had to marry a psychiatrist. So most people go see a psychiatrist. I go marry one. But no, we met right after I got done playing and was in transition, trying to figure out what was next. Started dating and, really just kind of, hit it off, fell in love, and the rest is history. Here we are getting ready to celebrate our 10th year anniversary and 2 kids later. So a lot, took place during that time period. But for me, I got to this point and, wanting to marry this beautiful woman, because I just felt like when we connected, we just had a calling that was greater than anything that we could do individually. So together, I thought that calling and that purpose, truly meant something when I knew that she was the woman that I wanted to marry.
Oh, wow. I love this. I love this. Relationships are a big thing that we talk about, right? And I love the fact that, number one, there are a lot of women that think the ideal man is a professional football player. And we don't often see a lot of professional football players end up with women that have their own, that are doing, this is a beautiful couple. It proves that professional career women, are still very much attractive to men that have it all as well. So I love this. This is going to be good. We're excited. I'm even more excited about seeing you guys on the show. Let me ask you this, Dr. Mimi, because I recently did a piece on, we had a huge tragedy on a reality show titled Love and Marriage Huntsville. And it made me start to kind of delve into the psychology of people that go from obscurity, right, to being on reality TV, and how that can be difficult sometimes to balance. So I want to ask you, because, obviously with you being an expert in this, you probably will be able to manage it a lot better. But do you have any advice? There are so many people that think that all they want to do is be on TV. All they want to do is be this huge influencer and have lots of followers. And then when people get into those situations, a lot of times it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of anxiety. It feels overwhelming. And sometimes the fame comes with a lot of negative attention as well, even more so sometimes than positive. So I'm wondering if you have, as you guys are preparing to, be in the spotlight full throttle, I'm sure Stephen probably was, to an extent, in a different way for his skill set, but being in the public eye for who you are and allowing people to kind of pick apart your family and pick apart who you are, that's got to be difficult, for our mental health. And so what advice do you have for people that are in that situation and probably got in a little bit too far over their head? And what are you guys looking to do as you join, and how will you manage, being able to keep the balance and keep yourself in a healthy place?
Absolutely. So I think it's a two-part question. So for those who are new going into this particular space of reality TV or just media in general, I think it's imperative that you just be proactive. And you will hear me often say, do the work. And so just be proactive in doing the work. And what that means is that really be introspective of who you are prior to the increase in social media following, prior to all this that's going to come along with being somewhat in the spotlight. And that can be, yes, going to therapy. And what does that look like? What do I need to address? I need to address, what are my core values? And so me personally, I'm making sure that I'm just having a good foundation and putting my feet like flat first. So I'm going to make sure that I know my core. So my core, yes, is God. It's my family. Yes, it's my business. And most importantly, it's my overall health.
Yes.
And so how am I, even prior to all of this, have I been doing what I say my core for? Am I exercising? Am I sleeping? Am I eating? And what is my social connectivity? Who are my support system? Or who consists of my supports? And so making sure that I know who I am, and I know that I am I'm putting my confidence in the right things. I'm turning comments off. I am making sure I'm monitoring my own anxiety. So if I feel like, oh, I'm getting anxious, why did I just get anxious? What was my trigger? And so just making sure that I am really focusing and being mindful of how I am feeling, and making sure that I know how to react appropriately to that specifically labeled emotion, and not just kind of just be all over the place. I think the second part is, if you're already in it, then there's always time to kind of, not necessarily, you're not going backwards, but hey, there's time to just settle. And let's make sure that you're incorporating these healthy coping strategies. If I find myself anxious, I find myself depressed, and I find myself triggered, okay, stop, reset. What just happened? and how can I make sure that I have good communication with other people, that social support, as well as myself. Like, I got to make sure that I'm good. I got to make sure I'm really, really good, because this outside world, you know, you're in the spotlight and it's going to become a little tricky.
Yeah.
And you just got to make sure that you're good and you're not spiraling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. Let me ask you, Stephen, because
I want to add something to what she just said, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk a lot about the backside of the blessing, right? So we, tend to find ourselves in positions, a lot of people who are aspiring to achieve things where you're praying for these blessings, you want things to come. And when they come, there's a lot of other things that come with blessings. And, you can look at it from depending on where you are in life, how Biggie said it, and it's more money, more problems, or you look at it from a Bible standpoint, and it can be, to much is given, much is required. But either way, there's a lot that comes with when you get these types of opportunities and blessings. So we are conscious of the fact that things are changing, things are shifting, our audience is growing, our touch and reach is expanding. So what does that mean for us? So we continuously evaluate where we are in life, and then what's the strategy in that particular place that you're in. Because if you never reevaluate the strategy, then you'll be working off an old strategy in a new place. So for us, we want to make sure that now we're in this new place. Okay, what is the next strategy for us? And trying to stay 2 steps ahead in the process. So it's very important for us to, keep a good village around us, have wise counsel, have the right people in our corners and our circles, and then to always stay grounded, never get, too ahead of ourselves in any accomplishments or any failures, to make sure that we're constantly, and also too, the last thing I'll say is it's always about this unity, and always making sure that this is the priority. So if something doesn't align with us and our priority, then that thing has to go, because this is the number one and most important thing to us.
And when you say this, I'm assuming that means the marriage.
Yes, exactly. This one and this one. Yes.
I'm gonna say with you, Stephen, because I really wanted to ask you about, I remember reading a quote from Bon Jovi, and he was like, back when we grew up, you became famous because you did something really well, right? And when you work with singers or athletes, you work so hard, you amass fame and attention, but it's because of that work ethic. So it's like the criticism would be based on what you did on the field, right? So with reality TV, things are a lot different, because it really is about you as a person, and it's not necessarily about that skill set. Are you embracing that difference? I know a lot of football players don't necessarily, like the limelight outside. When the helmet is off, they don't really want to be bothered or do that. Do you find a difference between that, the attention that comes from both sides? And if so, what is it about this side that you're embracing now?
Yeah, that's a great question. In football, they do have something that people have referred to as the helmet syndrome, right? Where a lot of times people who are players who are in helmets are not really recognized from a face standpoint. But I think in this particular space, obviously, your face is front and center on TV. So it's all about, being authentic, being natural, trying to not trying to do too much, but also not trying to do too little. So for me, I always felt like, I'm just going to be who I am. I've been through so many different areas in life, where whether it was playing football, then it was corporate America, then it was nonprofit worlds, and so I've done a lot, and I've always felt like I wouldn't say always, but I felt like in the past that I wasn't my true authentic self, because I was, maybe putting on a mask of some sort to try to fit in, or to try to be like somebody else, or like the other people that are around that community and that particular career field. And I think that's the one thing when I came into this and said, I'm just going to be who I am, and people are going to love it or they're not going to love it. But at the same time, I know that I am who I am, and that's what I'm going to represent. So, but I'm never going to dummy down myself. But I'm never going to not try to do too much to be seen, but just kind of be even keel. But the number one thing I wanted to do was support her and be here for her, and just truly be that person that she can lean on, because the show obviously is about the ladies and not about the fellas. So So I try to play the background as much as I can, but at the same time, you know, if I need to be visible, I'm here.
Yeah. Let me ask you both this, because that, you know, there is something that a lot of people say, like if it was a friend, if it was a couple that was a friend of mine preparing to go on reality TV, I'd be like, whew, you know, because there are a lot of challenges that come to marriages, especially you guys have a beautiful, you've been together for a long time, you have children. It's not something that's being birthed out of reality TV. There's something there that's very valuable that you've worked very hard to cultivate and maintain. And I wonder, did you guys have conversations about the fact that you look around on reality TV, you see so many marriages that have fallen apart in a painful way for public consumption? So what are your thoughts on maintaining us and maintaining that thing that's been so valuable to you all these years?
You want me to go first? Yeah. Okay.
Well, you go. Yeah.
You go. Okay. All right. So yeah, we did have conversations. We had a lot of conversations about that, and that was probably the number one thing we talked about, was just making sure our marriage was a priority and that we were going to stay united no matter what the situation and how you know, the show may either things may happen, right? It's very unpredictable. So making sure that we will always have check-in points, that we would always have conversations about if it's something that happened during filming, how do we feel about it, and that we're making sure that we're approaching our conversations listening to the other person, because my perspective may not be Mimi's perspective and her perspective may not be mine. So we can bring something to the table that maybe one of us didn't see or one of us wasn't aware of. So we're always making sure that we're always in communication, talk daily. I mean, obviously we're married. We're friends, you know, before we were even married, friends. And then we're also business partners. So not only are we on the show, but we run a business together. We're friends, we're married. So we're always talking. So we have to make sure that when we do talk as well, that we are, okay, wait, who am I talking to? Am I talking to my business partner? Am I talking to my husband? Am I talking to, you know, my
who is it?
Yeah, exactly.
Who am I talking to?
And you know, and within that conversation, and I always too, I will approach Mimi and say, okay, before I talk, do you need your husband or do you need your business partner? And if she says her husband, I know to take off the hat of business partner, and
he knows the tone to talk to.
Yeah.
And so if I say, hey, I know I need my husband, then it's of course it's a different conversation, but the tone and his delivery is different. And I have done the same thing. We also have godly counsel. And so even prior to going into this, we're having conversations. We're having, I guess, sessions and saying, okay, where are you guys? Are y'all strong? Y'all good? Okay, how do you continue to do that? And that is the check-ins. And just maintaining that friendship. And so, and we knew that was the core of our relationship. Like, this was my best friend before, you know, we got, you know, engaged and married. Like, this is the person I talk to all the time. And so just making sure that we're doing check-ins. We have someone that is a good counsel and speaking into our marriage and helping us work on the relationship. Not me, not him, but the relationship. Just even if there's any issues, no, we're proactive in this thing. And so that's kind of, we've had a lot of conversations. And so, because we knew this going in, that again, there is a backside to the blessing, and we're going to make sure that we playing chess.
Yeah, that's nice. Let me ask you this, because that is interesting. I always wonder with couples that work together, play together, like the husband lover, like that's a lot, right? And parents, right? And parenting together. So how do you keep, after 10 years and with all these different hats that you guys wear for each other, how do you keep that special part, right? That special intimacy with the two of you guys, so that there's still a spark there? Because I know it's very easy. I mean, I've on my second marriage, been married for 4 years. It's difficult sometimes to find that spark when you're working, you're doing things, and children are involved. I know that definitely throws a bone into it, but there's also a part of the husband and wife that really need that special place with each other. So how do you guys find all the work to the side, all that to the side, and just find that place for true intimacy with the two of you guys? How do you manage to do that and keep that as a priority?
I would say intentionality. And so we have to make sure like we're scheduling like, okay, are we doing, yes, a vacation, but hey, we need to schedule a staycation. Mm-hmm. So send these kids to our support system, so to their grandparents, and we don't have to go anywhere. We can stay at the house, we can get a hotel, whatever, but making sure that we're intentional and working on the relationship. Right.
And also, and being intentional about dating.
Yeah.
So I still try to date her. You know, I'm always trying to whether it's impress her in some kind of way by buying her something, surprising her, but just making her feel like she's still that girl, like she's still being pursued. And I think that's important sometimes. Just feeling that somebody is still very attracted to you, because if that's one of the number one things when you meet someone, that attraction has to be there. So when you get them, you don't lose the attraction, or you don't not show it. So I think that, making sure that I always make her feel like she is attractive and that she's valued, whether that's doing something, by, just showing her in some kind of way, or if it's by verbally speaking that into her. But I always try to remind her of how attractive she is to me, and that I'm still pursuing her.
I love that. I love that. Now, how do you do that back for him?
So I ask him actually, okay, what's your love language in this season that you're in?
Oh, wow. In this season. That's
in this season, because the love languages are going to change.
Okay.
So, it could be physical touch, word of affirmation, quality time, acts of service. I probably missed one, but I'm asking him. You could have just stopped that physical touch. You could have just. I'm asking him, okay, what do you do for me in this season? Okay. And so it does change, but I make sure I'm intentional of giving that to him.
Yeah. And
then also, like you said, making sure that, hey, I'm attracted to you, babe. Like you look good. And so making sure, like, I'm gonna hype him up. So I'm gonna be that cheerleader, just the only cheerleader. Okay. So I'm dating my husband and making sure that he feels valuable.
I love that. I love that. Well, this is all great. I had never heard that. I know love languages, but in this season, very good nugget. Another good nugget for all of our listeners. The Sanders so far, hey, they are giving us that, but you know what? It makes sense because she's a psychiatrist. And so they are taking us to another level as far as things for daily life. Now I'm going to take a little bit of a pivot since we have you here, Dr. Mimi, and we know that we all learn, the entire country is excited because there's the possibility of there being the first female president of the United States. And but we are also in a very divided time as a country. And I know a lot of people are overwhelmed and can become stressed out watching social media, specifically when it comes to politics. I know the last election was difficult on a lot of people's mental health. And I feel like even thus far, it's still been very difficult on a lot of our mental health. So what advice would you give to people that want to be involved, but really just watching some of the things that they see, some of the images and messaging sent via social media can wear down and make us, feel overwhelmed and kind of overwhelm us in our daily day-to-day, when that may not necessarily be a part of our day-to-day, but just looking and listening and constantly being checked in. What advice would you have as we get ready for a very intense, political season?
Well, what comes to my mind at first is boundaries. So I too am a person that I'm watching the news. And as I'm watching the news, am I getting triggered about whatever I've just seen or just heard? And if I'm getting triggered and that keeps going where I'm up all night, I'm, feeling a little anxious, it's impairing my quality of life, I have to set some boundaries.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to be involved in whatever, campaign, or I want to give towards this campaign. How can I give and still be involved that is not detrimental to my mental health? So does that mean that I need to be one-on-one, going door to door, grassroots? Then okay, I'm going to limit the time that I'm spending on TV. If TV doesn't trigger me, but hey, going to a large crowd or large rally does, then okay, how else can I do this in terms of support? Maybe I need to, get more involved in, my financial contributions. So just figuring out what different ways that you can give back that is of support of whatever candidate or campaign, but also of support of your own mental health. Right. Because I am seeing some things, whether it is on Instagram or other social media outlets of, hey, Black women, be prepared. Be prepared to, have some what they call transference of like I'm seeing how whether it's Vice President Kamala being attacked and it's resonating within me and I'm getting angry or I'm getting some type of negative emotion. Just be proactive. That is kind of how I deal with things. I kind of internalize it. Be proactive and say, okay, it may be coming, but this is how I'm going to react to this. This is how I'm going to contribute, and this is how I'm going to be of support.
Yeah. And I would add to be slow to react and fast to research. Because sometimes, when it comes to political conversations, a lot of people react very quickly and haven't done the research.
Absolutely.
Before you react to whatever it is, whether it's on TV, whether it's in social media, magazines, whatever it is, be slow to react and then do your own research and understand what it is that's out there. And the second thing I would say is just don't engage in the baiting, whether it's race baiting, sexism, whatever it is. There's going to be a lot of things that are happening that are going to try to get people triggered, and it's with intention. And you have to understand that they know that it's not true, but they're going to do it anyway because they want a reaction, because negative publicity is publicity, right? So if they can say something crazy and get people in an uproar and get them to talk about it, then there is some more attention brought to whatever cause or whatever agenda they're trying to push. So don't give them that, don't be baited into these conversations. And then you look up in 4 hours, you've been on Instagram typing with your thumb and upset and frustrated, and now your whole day off. Don't even give into that. Review, see what it is, but then also too, and it goes back to some of the things we talked about as far as being on the show, is you really have to do a digital detox. Limit yourself and how often you're on social media. Set time limits, set limits and boundaries. So you're making sure, because it can suck you in. It can affect your mood. It can affect you emotionally. It can affect you mentally, physically. It can affect you and have you, very confused in what is true reality versus what is being portrayed.
No, absolutely. That's great advice. That's great advice, period. But I love what you both said. I mean, this is definitely about the transference with Black women and just overall. I have to ask you all, had you been fans of Married to Medicine prior to your own introduction? Were you all fans? And if so, of whom? And what did you like about the show?
I have seen the show, and of course, being a castmate, I was like, okay, I have to make sure I do my research too. And so, but just getting to know the ladies, much respect for all of them, but just knowing kind of how they are balancing everything, and especially the physicians of the cast, and just looking at how Dr. Jackie is balancing her business and her own particular advocacy, and her her marriage and her other businesses. Was really good to kind of just be around. And then also just establishing relationships with the other ladies, whether it's Phaedra or T, and just getting to know them and knowing, hey, we have a lot in common that we really didn't think that we did. So I truly like all of the ladies, and I'm still cultivating some relationships, but they were very receptive to kind of who I was, being this, the new person. The new person sometimes is not always,
Always. Sometimes there's a little hazing that has to happen.
Right. So, I mean, I knew that what it came with, but again, just knowing who I was and knowing, where my confidence lies, like, certain y'all can't tell me too much about myself that I already don't know.
Right.
And it, whatever you do say may not land and it's not going to affect me, but just really enjoying the different parts of each lady. And just kind of just me personally looking for the similarities, whether it's going in and just saying, oh no, this is not it, and we're different. That's just my personality. But I truly enjoyed kind of all of them, but still cultivating relationships with others.
Okay. Stephen, had you seen the show?
I had. I've seen it when Mimi was watching it, and I'm like, what is this? Because typically I come in when the drama happens, right? I don't see the whole storyline in the show because I'm not watching it, but I may hear something going on. I'm like, what is that? And I look and I see, and of course, like just any human being, I'm with her. So she's laying in the bed watching it. I'm asking her, well, who is that? And why are they yelling at each other? And why are they upset? And who is he? And so I'm asking questions and just trying to figure out, who's who and everything like that. But for the most part, I really don't watch a lot of reality. But of course, like she said, once we became cast members, I was just like, you know what?
We gotta do
Let me do some research. Let me find out what's been going on the last couple seasons and figure this out.
Get up to date on what is going on. We can't wait to see you guys. I think you're going to be an amazing addition because, like I said, if nothing else, we know that Mimi is going to be able to go in there and at least get temperatures down and be the voice of reason. You have to. That is your profession, and that is not what that is not what Dr. Heavenly does. That's not what Dr. Heavenly does. That's not what Dr. Jackie tries. But I think that you should be able to give her some reprieve because she's been trying to do it all these seasons.
Herself, Lord.
All herself. But no, we love all the ladies. I know all of them. Well, definitely Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly very well. Very well, and love them both. So I'm excited to see you guys. Before I let you go, I got to ask you and me one question because my stepdaughter is having a baby. We are waiting with pins on hands and needles, like excited. Baby is coming in October. Any words of advice in that reproductive health for a woman who is pregnant with her first baby? And we are about 7 months in, baby on the way, big family. Everyone is excited. How can we all support, and what should we be looking for to make sure that we're supporting her mental health as well as, her and the baby's physical health?
And my advice would be to her, be in the moment, be mindful, be in the moment. Yes, celebrate that beautiful baby, but also celebrate yourself of how you brought this beautiful just life into this world, and to really utilize your support system. Yes, you love on that baby, but you also give that baby to the grandma, so you can kind of get your rest, your sleep, while you have that support around. And for family members or friends that are supporting her, just make sure that she's taking care of herself. I go back to those core four, making sure that she is not necessarily exercising, but eating right, getting some good sleep while she can, and really utilizing that support system. And just looking out for any drops, because you're going to have those drops in your hormones, and you're going to have the common baby blues, but we're going to make sure that it's not interfering with the quality of life and doesn't extend outside of that 2 weeks. But if it does, hey, we can go see somebody. It's okay. It's okay. And we really want to make that a normal way of life. Go see someone. For sure.
I love that. Stephen, do you have any advice for the new dad? Because I'm sure he is, he thinks he's prepared. He's an amazing guy, but he probably has no idea what's about to happen.
I would say be as supportive as you can to your wife, your significant other. Make sure you're present and make sure you're engaged. Because I think oftentimes, men can think that the baby in infant stages is just about the mom and the baby, whether it's breastfeeding. But no, you can do skin to skin with your child and build that bond and connection with them. I don't know exactly the medical terms of it, but the baby feeling your skin, there's some kind of connection and bond that's being built. So don't overlook the fact of your role in the baby's life at early stages, but then also to being supportive and being that additional support system for her in this time too, and not to be so masculine. And let me explain what I mean by that. Because because there's a false masculinity of being so dominant, and we don't show weakness, or we don't cry. But in those moments, man, those are special moments that you only get once or twice or three, or how many ever times you have kids, but you only get it for that window and that opportunity. So definitely take that opportunity to be present and be in the moment, but also to understand that she could be going through things that you may not understand. So it's not a conversation of, oh, you'll be all right, wake up, or you'll be all right, you'll push through it. Sometimes it's not that, and you definitely can't come with that approach. And that's what I mean by that masculine approach, or that masculinity, where you're really coming at it from that side of how men would think in a masculine way. Oh, we don't show weakness, but women are not that way. So we have to understand that we have to sometimes be toned down a little bit. Part of it. So
I love that. Well, I am predicting that I'm going to love the Sanders joining Married to Medicine. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Can you guys tell us when we can expect to see the premiere episode so we can get into this? Because I am excited. I think this was the casting has my vote. This was good, Andy. I like this. We'll about some other stuff, but we like this.
So look for us the end of October, beginning of November-ish. And once we know kind of more, we'll let you know more.
Keep us posted. Well, we are very excited. We'll definitely be checking in with you as it gets closer to the time of the season. But I do want to thank both of you guys. It was great advice, specifically about how all of us are feeling with this political season. I can't wait to share this so that our listeners can have a chance to hear this and more people. But we're excited. Welcome to the Married to Medicine family. All of us that love supporting the channel, we're excited to see you guys as new additions.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And if anybody wants to stay connected to us, a little soft plug, innercommunityhealth.com. You can get connected with us, and whether it be mental health services or just hearing more about us, following our story, more information. You can follow us on social media. It's drmimi.care, and then it's Steve Sanders 365 on Instagram and Twitter. So if you want to follow us, definitely stay in communication with us.
Absolutely.
And see what's going on as we continue to build and scale.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that. We'll definitely make all those handles available for our viewers. And again, we thank you guys for hanging out with us here at Culture Conversations with Christal, and we'll be seeing you guys soon.
Awesome. Right. Thank you.
Bye.